We have warned the South African government, and we want to warn them again, that if apartheid is not dismantled, then we are going to have a bloodbath. And no one wants to make such a prediction. Because, you see, people like ourselves are one day going to be pushed aside. The people are going to say nonsense. Those leaders, they keep talking about peace, and our people keep getting killed. When people try to fight against this system, they are detained without trial, they are banned.
It is in opposition to the will of God for this country, and we must resist it, because in its claim to be Christian, apartheid is a blasphemy, idolatry, and a heresy. We want all of our rights, and we want them here, and we want them now.
So by the time we got to 1982, our uprising were mostly sporadic, fragmented. We thought if we could coordinate this, mobilize the people in a much more organized way. And the activists who were around were beginning to say, what is it that we have to do to make this thing happen? Well, that was January. By August, there were 500 organizations who came to Mitchell's Plain when we launched the United Democratic Front. You could feel that there was a vibration from that point onwards in the country. An earthquake had come.
People around the world are concerned and committed for our struggle.
But there is no hope for peace in this land until they talk to our leaders.
The liberation movement, people were all in exile. But there were many things that were happening in the country where one needed the leadership that is national.
There was just aspects that we were never going to wrest from the apartheid regime, and that was military might. The ability to, in fact, deploy soldiers into townships. They were killing a great number of activists on a daily basis.
Given 5 minutes to disperse from this place of gathering.
The South African police has willfully sought to create a situation where they can come in and mow our people down. We want to reaffirm our commitment to continue the struggle, because it is these kinds of killings which make it more imperative for us, which make people like ourselves and the thousands of young people realize that it's not a question of protest, it is a matter of life and death.
One of the remarkable experiences of those days was the mass funeral, where we were burying victims of usually police shootings, and where the mood of perhaps 30,000 people in a stadium was extremely angry. It was the responsibility of the clergy, and very, very frequently Desmond Tutu himself, to try and gather up that rage and then to redirect it in a way that hopefully would not be destructive.
The day when we buried in Uitenhage, they had that march to commemorate Sharpeville, and the police came and people were killed. But I remember sitting Archbishop Desmond Tutu and I preached on that day. He was sitting next to me.
Why have you created a climate in this country in which our children can be shot down in the streets by a policeman and that policeman can get away with it? Why have you created a climate in which death squads roam around and can do whatever they like as if the lives of our people do not matter?
I first met Bishop Tutu when he came to Tutuza after my brother had died. On the 26th of June 1985, there was a big explosion here in Tutuza, and members of COSAS were killed around 12 midnight. When I look at all these tombstones, all 4 of them, you know, it brings back sad memories. As much as it happened 35 years ago, people were furious. They wanted to take revenge and they couldn't.
There was a man that was identified as an informer, and the community wanted to burn him alive in his car. And Bishop Tutu actually jumped in and rescued the very same person.
Desmond would put his body in between there because for him, it's not the issue of color, it's the issue of justice, that even that person you call an MPP that needs justice.
Our cause is a just cause. That is why it is going to prevail. That is why victory is already ours. But my brothers and sisters, I must say, and say categorically, I must say quite strongly to all of you, I deplore and oppose all forms of violence. The thing that we saw happen in Tutuza, I want to say to you that I condemn that in the strongest possible terms. Now,
and so he had a wonderful gift of being able to express that rage without any reserve. We had gone to Cape Town to try and persuade the Minister of Justice and Police and so on to withdraw the troops from Alexandra Township.
They are here to kill us, not to protect, not to protect anybody.
And we failed. And so this was a report back gathering in the Alexandra Stadium where about 30,000 people were gathered. He said, I have nothing to give you. I have nothing to tell you. We have failed. And the anger of the people was quite palpable. But once we got in the car, a number of young people gathered around, beating on the doors of the car and saying, it's all right for you, you can go away, but we are left with these people shooting us every day. And Desmond was in tears because he was saying, I failed them, I failed them. And of course, we had.
I think Desmond Tutu is a modern mystic, because a mystic is really somebody who has a particularly deep and extraordinary relationship with God. Mysterious, even in a way. I mean, he would have 3 hours of quiet time a day.
On the day of the Apartheid general election in September 1989, police in Cape Town killed over 20 people.
I have said before, and I say again, that it is the violence of this government that has resulted in our sitting here at this time.
And the Arch was so distraught. After spending several hours alone in chapel,
he walked out of the chapel. He said, we're going to march tomorrow. call the people. We're going to march tomorrow. I'm marching tomorrow. We want everybody to come out. We're going to march from the cathedral down Adley Street. And it was shortly after that, I think, that particular march took place, which brought together people across the board in one of the most dramatic displays of protest in Cape Town.
And it was this march that triggered marches across the country.
Even this government felt that they couldn't shoot and kill the church leadership because the whole world would turn against them.
Characteristics of visionary leadership is to act symbolically, is to be out on the streets, is to walk, put yourself in danger. And the positions he took, which were not ideological positions, they were the consequence of this deep sense of knowing what God would want us to be and do in that context.
We are the rainbow people. We are the new people of a new South Africa. Now, I want you to hold hands. I want you to lift your hands. I want you to say, our march to freedom.